critical thinking. Some people think they have it, other people don't even know what it is. Let's talk about it. It's about cutting through the noise, spotting weak arguments, and making choices that actually hold up in the real world, not just in your head. Today, we'll be building critical thinking step by step, from the basics of questioning to the advanced art of seeing hidden systems. The foundation. What is critical thinking? At its core, critical thinking is asking better questions, looking past first impressions, separating emotion from logic when needed. A simple example of this, if you see a headline, "Chocolate cures stress," instead of repeating it, you pause. Who funded this study? How many people were involved? Does it apply to everyone or just to mice in a lab? A little bit of critical thinking is actually you taking in information and seeing how it relates to you. Like, what are you going to do with it? Is this helpful to you? Or should you have just ignored this? It's actually the bad part of algorithms and feeds, is that they're presenting you with all this information and you're just sort of passively accepting it in. That pause you take after reading "Chocolate Cures Stress" and asking those questions, that's critical thinking. That's where it starts. The next part is about the process. This is building a toolkit for your mind. Critical thinking isn't just being skeptical. Unfortunately, I see this on Joe Rogan a lot. I listen to his podcast on and off, like everyone does. And sometimes he'll just be a skeptic, and it's like so dumb. He's just not using his critical thinking skills. Or he'll get guests on that also are just being skeptical, bro. And I usually end up turning those off pretty soon. The whole thing is a process. Number one, you got to clarify the claim. What is actually being said? You wouldn't believe how oftentimes in conversation, the actual subject matter of what's being discussed is confused at the very beginning. So people are literally talking past each other, making points that just aren't even relevant to each other's point. So number one, you have to clarify the claim. Number two, check the evidence. What backs it up? Just look at it. Open the book. Review the bibliography. See the resources. Actually understand the context, why the quote was said, etc. Check the evidence. Number three, spot assumptions. What is taken for granted? Number four, consider alternatives. What else could explain any of this? And number five, draw conclusions cautiously. Don't overreach and don't apply something you've learned inappropriately elsewhere where it doesn't belong. Let's talk about common traps, biases, and fallacies. Your brain likes to take shortcuts. It's great for survival, but it's terrible for reasoning. There's a couple of these. There's confirmation bias. We love evidence that proves us right. There's a bandwagon effect, so if everyone else believes it, it must be true. There's a thing called false cause. If I wore my lucky socks and we won, it must be because I wore my lucky socks. These fallacies are just terrible. You got to avoid them, and you'll see them in other people once you learn them. The next part is everyday critical thinking. These are real-life scenarios. If you're watching the news, instead of asking, is this true, or labeling it as fake news, ask, what perspective does this represent? And then, in conversations, instead of trying to argue and win, ask, what can I learn from the other side's viewpoint? When you're trying to make a decision, instead of what feels right, just ask yourself, weigh it out. What are the trade-offs? Try to be objective about it. Go on one side, we could do this. On the other side, we could do that. Strategy of thought. This is thinking beyond the obvious. Once you get past the basics of this, you move from reacting to strategizing. It's almost like you plan your next couple moves as opposed to going through life willy-nilly. You get like a chess mindset where you're planning 3 moves ahead. You start to look at time horizons. So instead of just living moment to moment, you start to ask what's going to happen next, what can happen now, and then what happens as a result of this. And then the final stage of this is you could have multiple lenses of analysis. You could see it from a historian's point of view, a scientist's point of view, a philosopher's point of view, and how each of those individuals would frame the same problem differently. Critical thinking is disciplined thought. It means questioning assumptions rather than accepting them at face value, weighing evidence before deciding, thinking ahead about consequences, not just reacting. You have a business scenario. A startup founder says, "We will make money because everyone needs this app." Critical thinking responds, "Who's everyone? What data indicates this demand? Show it. What does adoption cost us? What's the downside?" I heard an anecdote recently that this startup got together and they ended up spending $300,000 and lots of time and effort and energy designing this really nice healthcare application. And then the only problem is when they brought it to, the people that their end users were doctors, in this case, physicians, none of the physicians adopted it because the company did not ask the physicians first, "Hey, would you use this app?" They just instead spent all this effort designing it. And so that's a key part of critical thinking is don't just do the hard work, challenge your initial assumptions, see the downside first, okay? The second part to this is critical thinking is a process. Think of it as a framework, not random skepticism. You have to think of it as a framework, okay? We're gonna do 5 steps. First one, identify the problem clearly. Second, gather relevant data. Third, analyze options. Fourth, make a decision. Fifth, review the outcome and adjust. Let's talk about cognitive biases. These are the enemies of critical thought. If critical thinking is strategy, biases are the traps. There's something called confirmation bias. This is cherry-picking data to prove that you're right. There's a thing called anchoring bias, clinging to the first number you hear. Our competitor raised 20 million, so we need 20 million. Groupthink. Everyone nods at the boardroom because nobody wants to be the quote-unquote negative one. Advanced critical thinking, thinking in systems and perspectives. This is sort of the highest level in system thinkings, is seeing the connections. Problems don't exist in isolation. They usually always build on each other, and you can see sort of the domino effect that got to your current problem. Every action has ripple effects, and even knowing or outlining at least one time in a forecast methodology, if it goes really well, here's how it looks, medium, here's how it looks, and low risk possibility of failure, here's the worst outcome. And then forecasting that, even though your actions have consequences, you just have at least thought about it at least one time. So that's where that systems thinking comes in. And then the third one is people just act not just on facts, people act on incentives, culture, psychology, allowing room in your analysis, not just for the logical, rational thing to occur with the most expected outcome, but to include incentives, culture, and the psychology in that decision making. Small example, why does traffic exist? There's not just too many cars. It's more complex than that. There's city design, human impatience, stoplights, timing, even cultural attitudes toward driving. Critical thinking here zooms out. It connects dots. The balance of logic and intuition. Pure logic can paralyze you. At the advanced level, critical thinking doesn't mean rejecting intuition. It means testing your intuition. Intuition sparks ideas. Critical thinking evaluates them. In closing, critical thinking is freedom. freedom from being manipulated, freedom from knee-jerk reactions, freedom to actually understand the world, not just survive in it and go through with fight or flight responses or some foggy idea and just not sure of any decision. Like, actually apply critical thinking, apply this methodology, even if you're not good at it. And even if you slip up, it's better to just keep on trying to apply these concepts. The final takeaway is that the true critical thinker isn't the loudest voice or the cleverest debater. It's the one who can slow down, ask the right questions, and see farther than the rest. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. Tell me what your favorite part was, and if you see this on shorts later on, give them a thumbs up and sub to the channel. Thanks so much. Thank you.